Created in 2005 and hosted by security industry veterans, Paul's Security Weekly is your source for in-depth coverage of the latest vulnerabilities, exploits, and security research. Our weekly security news discussion dives deep into the security issues we face today and potential solutions in a fun and lively atmosphere. Each week, we bring on guests from the security community to learn about their journey and discuss topics relevant to their work and research. You can also subscribe to our show by visiting securityweekly.com/subscribe or look for Paul's Security Weekly in your favorite podcast catcher. We've recorded a ton of content over the years, so we created Spotify playlists featuring some of our favorite episodes, including interviews with Marcus Random, John McAfee, and Chris Roberts, to name a few. You can find them at securityweekly.com/starter packs.
Welcome back to Enterprise Security Weekly. As a member of the Security Weekly community, we are pleased to offer you 20% off your InfoSec World 2023 tickets. Join a community of over 2,000 security professionals and innovators at InfoSec World on September 25th through the 27th at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. Experience world-class learning and networking through enlightening keynotes, informative panel discussions, interactive breakout sessions, hands-on workshops, and more. I've been to several of these. They can be a lot of fun, and the location's a lot of fun too. A lot of folks bring their families with them, and they do some Disney stuff, and then they do some InfoSec stuff. But you can register today at securityweekly.com/InfoSecWorld 2023 using code ISW23-SecWeek20. ISW23-SecWeek20. All right, now for the Enterprise Security Weekly news. You can check out securityweekly.com/ESW310 if you want to click the links yourselves and check out what we're talking about today. All right. Time for some dope funding and some mystery funding. I don't know if you guys looked at dope security, but man, they are leaning into dope.
They are. They even use an AF reference in there too.
Did they?
Yeah, there's an AF. They said they're fast AF.
Oh, how's that going to age, Tyler?
They'll have to redo their website in about 18 months.
What about a full rebranding?
That's pretty standard, though, for startups. Actually, that's a pretty long time for startups.
That's true.
I don't know if you want to link your company name to the zeitgeist. tends to, these things go through trends. Oh, and if you use the product, which you can sign up for free, and you can try the product, and you log into the console, it's fly.dope.security is the URL for the console. I know because I've done that, and I'm playing around with the product.
Now, the product is a secure web gateway in a distributed model. It sits on your mobile device, on your endpoints. Correct, Adrian?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So SASE.
Isn't that a personal firewall?
It's an agent, yeah, but it only cares about websites, so not a firewall. I mean,
it reminds me of the old McAfee personal firewalls, or I forget the brands, but yeah, they would do. I mean, they would do web security as well.
Yeah, so you can set up a policy. There's filtering. It's very similar to like a WebSense on your PC. Yeah, so they're not doing anything innovative in terms of the technology, I don't think. I mean, except they're saying like the efficiency of how they're using and deploying the technology is like orders of magnitude more efficient, which is why they can sell it at like a consumer app prices. It's like less than $10 a month for this. And you can just throw a credit card at them and have like enterprise level security for $8 a month or something like that.
So is this a B2C
just fall under
play?
the SASE category?
It's a good question. I don't know if it's. I think maybe both. So it's kind of like like Notion is both, right? Like individuals use Notion for free. Individuals pay for Notion Pro, and enterprises, pay for Notion for their entire marketing, customer success teams. Whoever uses it. So, yeah, I think we're seeing more and more of that in the enterprise space. Consumerization of enterprise is the term I've heard bandied about. But yeah, it works. I played with it a little bit, and the dashboard is very fancy. It's very nice. It's you could say it's fly. I'm not sure I can get away with saying that out loud, but I just did. Sorry for anyone that threw up in their mouths after I said that.
Well, that's okay. If you read their FAQ, the top question on their FAQ says, "What if $60 a year is more than I want to pay?" Their answer is, "Our priority is to get you flying direct without breaking the bank. Reach out to us and we'll work out custom pricing for you." They're literally like, just pay whatever you want. We don't mind.
Yeah,
I
looking
want
for
my
growth.
$2.
Oh, it does have a minimum of 250 devices. So that answers your question, Tyler.
There it is. Okay.
I think I'm on a trial, so I didn't realize that. That was less clear to me when I signed up for the service. I did not see the minimum of 250 devices. I'm not going to be able to hit that minimum.
Wait a minute. From the last segment, you said you have a ton of devices in your home. Maybe you will.
I do, but I can't afford to pay $8 a month for all of them. But yeah, no, it's not bad pricing for what they're offering.
Yeah, I mean, when you read through their website, they're definitely leaning in heavily on design, which is something I've been pushing for years now, saying that most markets in cyber can be completely upended just by having better UI, UX design. Yeah. And they're kind of leaning into that. They don't really even say that they do anything unique from a technical perspective on their website, other than being a distributed version instead of a centralized data center version. But it's more about, hey, we design it better, it's easier, it's quicker, it's faster, and it's easy to use.
Implementation, including like the whole sign-up process, 3 minutes to have it running on one of my devices, and they've already got it set up to where you can automate installing it on all your other devices using whatever MDM you're using. And it all syncs in through your single sign-on provider, your IDP.
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting to follow, not because I really care about the market, but right. I care about the fact that they're reinventing the market with a true, like a B2C version of an enterprise deal focused on UI, UX improvements in design and efficiency of the product. And maybe this could be the first test of a lot of different companies kind of innovating in this way.
Yeah, super interesting marketing study, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So there were a few of these. I said mystery fundings because a few of these, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7, don't say how much they raised. They just say it's a venture round. And I wanted to ask you, Tyler, if you think this is, if they're trying to hide down rounds by not specifying the amount.
Tough to tell. I think number 7 is listed as a seed. If I recall correctly, you have notes there that say that one, which was Sakuvi, took a seed round from Dell, Cap, Westwave, Cap to modernize digital privacy and security, undisclosed seed. That's interesting. That wouldn't be a down round if it's a seed. It's probably a first round, and it's likely a small round, a rather small round. And so we're not going to really announce how much it is. Maybe. I don't know. Tough to know on that one. Grip definitely could be a down round. Tough to know. I know the Syndicate Group. I know who they are. I'm in their Slack, actually. And so that one to me actually just feels more like a small investment that was done by a side group and not a primary round as opposed to a down round. I don't know much about the Cap One and Citi is probably filtered because they're not standard VCs and they don't want to give away how much they invest. So I don't think any of these are down rounds, actually. Okay. Maybe Grip, but I doubt it.
Yeah. So you just different funding than we're. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's just strange to see, several companies that I'm already aware of having funding announcements that don't have any numbers behind them, because usually we see the numbers. Yep. So immediately
your spidey senses went off. Totally get it. The way you should think of this is what is the benefit to doing an announcement of the round size, and the benefit or risk to either party on either side of it, right? And that's kind of how I backed into those, right? An undisclosed seed led by Dell. Dell usually says how much they invest. That was probably a smaller round, tough to know. The Cap One and Citi, they don't usually announce how much they invest. They're more banks as opposed to traditional VCs. So that's probably why that one's kept quiet. And the syndicate group is a super small. You have to know that particular investment group to know that they're likely just doing a small, sub 1 million is a guess, but sub $1 million round. So it's not really worth talking about the numbers. So that's how I kind of back into that. It's conjecture across the board. So as far as the audience is concerned, I have no idea, but it's probably an educated guess.
But do you think, given market conditions, now what you said makes perfect sense for these companies, but we don't have a lot of funding this week, actually. And given market conditions and what happened with SVB and everything that's going on, do you think we're going to start to see more of this? Because it is, in fact, a way to put some padding between your company and the market if there isn't so much transparency. And frankly, a private company doesn't necessarily have to say how much they got or not. That's nobody's business, actually, until they go public. So is that a way to insulate themselves from any kind of speculation about how well or not well they may do, depending on market conditions in the future?
Yeah, that's why they're not putting numbers on some of these things, right? They're either having flat rounds, which are just used to extend runway and bridge, or the up round isn't big enough to even warrant it, or the down round, or it is a legit down round. By keeping it opaque, you don't get to know, right? And so you can't too many you can't jump to too many conclusions without the data to back your hypotheses as a outside viewer to the deal structure, right? So that's 100% why you keep it hidden. Do I foresee it to continue? 100%. I think we're going to see a massive amount of M&A in the second half of this year as the market stays depressed. All of these companies are just going to struggle to continue to have enough runway to be successful, and are going to look for ways to consolidate. Not only that, just taking away any of the macroeconomic impacts of what's happening right now. We were over point solution invested in cybersecurity anyways. Thousands and thousands of point solutions. It had to roll up, and now it just makes sense from a finance perspective as well that it's going to roll up. So I foresee a lot of M&A second half of this year going into next year.
Yeah, with the IPO market being what it is, that's off the table for a lot of companies. And when you go into an M&A deal, it seems to me like in a lot of cases it could be more beneficial from a branding perspective, from a perception perspective, if the kimono isn't completely open. And it doesn't make your company better or worse necessarily. Market conditions change all the time. This is not unique. But it might put your company in a better position in some cases if you're just telling the people who need to know. Not everybody needs to know.
Yeah, let me put it to you this way. It's going to be those companies that are or were truly close to IPO, not sitting on some negligible amount of revenue talking about becoming an IPO company. But really we're truly on the cusp of IPO. They will do fine because they will position themselves better as far as the health of the company, the revenue, the run rate, the burn rate, all that kind of stuff. And they'll get themselves into a good spot, and they will IPO when the door or window reopens. But other than those guys, it'll be a barbell-shaped recovery for these companies, right? The ones that are at the top and can get healthy and do well will thrive and continue to do well. Those that are being born right now and are tiny and are healthy and are building in a healthy way, taking in the correct amount of VC, they will do well as well. It's the ones in the middle that took in a bunch of money, don't have great unit economics, are sitting somehow on 10 million of ARR, having not really hit product market fit. Those are the ones that are all going to get scooped up in M&A.
Yeah.
All right. The first one here, Ambit. I'm not sure how to say that. Not a good first impression. But it's just, so I dug into this one a little bit, and it feels a lot like Cato Networks, like the old 40 cloud. Like, basically, maybe you've got an application, the database lives in one cloud, the front end lives in another cloud or something like that. I don't know why you would do that. Like that you're using the cloud wrong. But yeah, maybe you've got components spread out for whatever reason. Maybe your client status in another cloud, let's say. And this basically creates like secure connections between them, which sounds kind of like ZTNA. Like there's a ZTNA for employees, for people to log in and access applications that aren't published to the public internet. But then there's also been the stuff that's kind of machine to machine. Like, how do I securely connect machine to machine behind the scenes between AWS accounts, between different public clouds, or, private data center or colo and public clouds? And that sounds like what they're doing, but the words they use are completely unfamiliar. They're calling it an identity platform, but it seems like it's all machine to machine interactions. So messaging is confusing to me, but it seems like a play on what some of these SASE vendors are doing.
Yeah, I can't really comment on the actual product itself because I don't understand what the press release says, and it's still a bit confusing. But a couple of things that are funny and a couple of things that indicate a potential that are good signals of potential success is they are backed by some really good folks, Ballistic Ventures and 1011. Mark Hatfield from 1011, and I don't remember who the partner was at Ballistic, but those guys know their stuff from an investing vantage point, so that's usually a good sign. Kevin and David, the founders, Sapp and Goldschlag, are both multi-time founders, have been around the block a bunch. That's also a really good signal. What I want to know is, how do they get, this is blowing my mind. They got Gartner Cool Vendor in November of 2022, last year, 6 months ago, and they're just coming out of stealth now. How do you get Gartner Cool Vendor notification if you're a stealth company?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like the next level of cool. Like you're stealthy cool. Like you're
hipster cool.
You don't even know how cool we are because you're not what we can't tell you.
You can't even see us. Like, we're invisible cool. So that kind of blew my mind.
Ninja cool.
Considering the cool vendor used to require, I think it was a $5 million ARR level before you could be considered cool. But I guess that's not a requirement anymore.
I always personally had a problem with the label cool vendor. Do you want to be cool or do you want to be effective?
Why can't you be both, KT?
That's the goal, right? But it's a little bit harder. Can't guarantee
because you're in security, and I'm in security, so I say this with the utmost love.
I guess it works, right? Because I'm definitely not effective. So.
So you're just cool, Tyler. You're just cool.
I like it, Katie. That's what I'm sticking to right there.
Okay. All right. I would rather see effective security vendors or vendors who solve a real problem than cool. There are a lot of things in this world that are cool that don't do anything.
Yeah,
I'm going to start putting out a cool company of the month. Once a month, I'm going to put out a report on a cool company of the month. If there's any vendors out there that would like to be included on the cool company of the month, ping me. I will release that information on a monthly basis.
Okay, now you just made yourself get extra work because people are going to do it.
Good. Ping me. I actually had pre-committed to this before I got on the call, so I knew it was coming anyways. It just gave me a good easy way to talk about it.
You played me for that. You did.
Man,
you right up.
Set us up, you bastard.
Tyler. Bad.
What else is on the list?
All right. Well, speaking of throwing people a bone, the Cyber Risk Alliance did an acquisition. They picked up the other, I don't know the identity conferences real well, but apparently Identiverse and No Identity were like the two big ones. So now we've got them both under one roof. So probably hear us talking about those, maybe announcing discounts for going to that conference and maybe we'll check out who's speaking there and bring on some folks to talk to. So Identiverse, I loved learning about that one. We got some great interviews off of that one. Didn't even know it existed before CRA did the acquisition. So a lot of cool stuff came out of that one. So looking forward to learning more about that conference.
Yeah, that's cool.
The next one. Sorry, any comments on that?
Nope. Was just saying that's cool, Adrian. I think the good combo platter of those two conferences together for CRA will make a good fit.
Hey, we were predicting consolidation, right? In this market. There it is. I'm really curious about your thoughts on number 9, Tyler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I did deep dive this. I'm bummed that I don't have access to a PitchBook account because for those of you that are not viewing the list and listening to it, number 9 on our list is tools. It's a tool article about PitchBook has got a new tool that uses artificial intelligence to predict which startups will successfully exit. I don't have the article up in front of me, but I want to say they had like a 75% regression analysis on historical data, which is good, right? Like we typically want to see in the upper 80s to low 90s to say that something is a good fit model against historical data. But, if that were the case, it would certainly make investing a lot easier if we had closer to an 85% predictability from a tool like this. But, I think a 75% accuracy rate of using historical data from PitchBook to say what companies are going to successfully exit is actually pretty interesting. I think it's kind of a cool idea. I really wanted to get in there and play with it and run it through my portfolio and see which ones are going to exit well. I don't have an account, which is a bummer. But the other thing, though, that I wasn't sure about is how do you define successful exit? What makes an exit successful? And if I recall the research, it was an exit. They set some kind of arbitrary financial threshold of exit, but it's tough to know. Like, is it a multiple of invested capital? Is it revenue run rate at exit? Like, how do you determine success?
Is it break even for the investors? Is that successful? Right. Break even?
Right. I can tell you right now, as an investor, break even is not a successful investment, but it might be to their analysis, meaning, hey, as long as we made money, it's profitable. That's a positive exit. But again, the definition of success here, I think, is the trick. But it's kind of a cool idea, and I hope it works. I really do.
Yeah, so I went down a bit of a rabbit hole here too, because they mentioned that a team of researchers used public Crunchbase data to build a similar tool, and the success rate of that was 80 to 89%. And I couldn't find the tool, so I kept same thing as you, Tyler. I'm like, yeah, but sounds great. I want to see it in action. I want to see some results.
Yeah, and you can't get in there to PitchBook to actually do it, right? You can't get in there to PitchBook to run it, which is, I wanted to run it over my portfolio and see what I could expect.
What is that, like $20,000 to get into? I've never even looked at the pricing for PitchBook. I don't know what it costs.
More than I'm going to pay. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, not a personal use purchase. Maybe a VC.
No, it's a corporate
purchase.
It's a corporate thing. Yeah.
Let's see here. So I know a lot of people really excited about number 11, Microsoft 365 Copilot. I haven't dug in a whole bunch in this one. I saw something where basically, like, you describe what you need and it builds an app for you using your data or something like that. Like, it's okay. So yeah, so in the article they've got descriptions, product by product, what Copilot does for you. So Copilot in Word writes, edits, summarizes, and creates right alongside people. So it sounds like kind of an extension to what we already have in our email now, which has been there a couple of years, where it tries to finish your sentence for you or write the rest of the email for you.
Oh, way more than that. It's more of a Chat GPT type.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So have you, Adrian, to give you a counterpoint, because I know you're a heavy Notion user, have you used or signed up for the Notion AI?
Yeah, I use it. I use it regularly.
It's basically that, right? Where you can generate entire pieces of content, massage content, to give it a good example, in my weekly newsletter that I put out now, I've actually, each time I finish reading one, I've got a workflow now that auto dumps it into Notion, does a 1-paragraph summary of the article. I even tell it, please include a snarky joke at the end to try to spur my creativity for funniness. And then I'll even occasionally say, and I want a 5 tweet storm summarizing this article with funny jokes, and it'll create tweet storms for me.
Wow. And does it know that there's like limits for each tweet? Does it break it into like the sections? Oh, wow. Okay.
Absolutely, and then I can just cut and paste each one into Twitter. Alternatively, now I think Notion AI, I know ChatGPT just today released integrations through Zapier, which basically means you could even say, "And I want you to publish this to my Twitter account automatically." Like this stuff, the connectivity, the connective tissue behind the AI systems now is just going crazy. Like the workflows are going to be popping up left and right. And that's what these really are, is content creation in each of your, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook. It's all the content creation. And then eventually you're going to be able to get that content creation automations to occur, things like that.
I've got a workflow for you guys. This happened. So I was asked to jump on as a co-host on Paul's Security Weekly last night. And I didn't have a whole lot of time to prep for the interview. And I've been trying to leave ChatGPT open, just to encourage me to use it more, to explore more with it. And so they were interviewing a guy named Wiseman. What was his name? Nico Wiseman.
Nico Wiseman. Yep.
Yeah. And so Nico Wiseman is Argentinian. So I'm looking up talks that he's given and stuff like that. And, I do this, every now and then for an interview. If somebody has a bunch of talks, I'll listen to maybe one entire talk. I'll take a look at a few others. And I've got this plugin for YouTube called ChatGPT for YouTube that summarizes, because a lot of YouTube videos have the entire transcript listed just in text. When you load that video page, there's a text blurb with all the words that it's transcribed. Maybe it's not 100% accurate, but enough that this plugin can feed that into GPT, and in about 20 seconds, I can just read the summary and I know what the talk's about. I know what the high points of the talk are about. So what really blew my mind is that many of his talks were entirely in Spanish. The transcription was entirely in Spanish. It still gave me the summary in English.
Oh, wild!
In about 5 seconds. Yeah, it didn't slow it down at all. The fact that it was in a different language, didn't care.
Wow, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I'm absolutely blown away right now with the leaps and bounds happening on a weekly basis.
That blew my mind. Because I checked too. I checked the transcription. I was like, was the transcription translated? It wasn't. It was all in Spanish.
Yeah, it's able to use multiple languages on the fly. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. So the net of the introduction from Microsoft is, it's trying to maintain its competitiveness within the Microsoft suite so it doesn't get overrun by content creation occurring outside of Microsoft products.
Can't beat them, join them.
That's right.
Yeah. So we might as well jump down to 19, 20, 21, 22. I've got other AI trends grouped there. So if we're going to talk about any of these, the first one is, of course, companies are trying to keep employees it's not going to work. JP Morgan Chase and Co. and Verizon have reportedly blocked employee access to the online tool.
Oh.
Yeah, good luck. That's gonna work for about 30
Why even
minutes.
Bother? I mean,
why
that's
bother?
Just dumb. That's just dumb.
Oh, I'll just whip out my phone. ChatGPT works perfectly fine from a cell phone.
The whole thing's stupid at the end of the day, because it's like, oh, here's one of the most innovative new ways of making business, 5 to 10 times faster and more efficient. And we're going to just say, nah, you can't do it. You can't use that. Like, think of the trade-off just in business improvements for those companies. That's ridiculous.
So 20 is interesting. We're predicting AI will replace work jerks. People skills will become more important. Man, is that a title? That title grabbed me. It worked.
Quite a title. What's a work jerk?
If you have to ask, people? You're the work jerk, right?
Is that what it says in the article? Shoot, I just outed myself.
Nifty tech will unfortunately not save us from boring meetings. That was the one thing I was really hoping it would do, but.
So a work jerk is that coworker who's brilliant but a horrible person. So you better watch out. Yeah,
you got to put up with them because they're super important. Yeah.
Well, what I mean is, of course, that makes sense that is exactly what AI will come out as right away, because it doesn't have empathy or an emotion or the ability to put themselves in other people's shoes and, have feelings and be hurt and upset. It's just like, no, here's your facts, move on. Here's your facts, move on. I think over time, that too will come, though. I think over time, the empathetic part will get in there too. Because if you think about it, I was in ChatGPT or Notion. I don't remember which one I was using, Notion AI, and I told it to write me a bunch of jokes in the style of Chris Rock. I told it to write me a bunch of jokes in the style of Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, and a couple other comedians. I don't remember who I used. Yeah. And they got the tone of voice correct. So it shouldn't be that hard to say, rewrite this entire section of content you created with an empathetic tone, with a kinder tone, right? So I think I don't think that we're going to see a proliferation of work jerk versions of AI. I just don't think that happens. I think people will soften it up fast enough.
No. They're not saying that. They're saying,
oh, good.
No, I think
it shows you how much I read the article.
Yeah, take it away, Katie.
I think this is the opposite. It's saying that the people who are the work jerks will be replaced by AI that knows how to be somewhat more diplomatic.
Oh, well, hell yes. Count me in then.
Yeah, it's not saying AI is going to be more diplomatic. It's just going to say like the things that the tolerance for jerks is going to be much less because you can replace them with an AI so easily. Like there's just going to be less tolerant for putting up with people who do their job well but are difficult to communicate with, difficult to work with. So there's going to be more emphasis.
That's what I was saying, a little less eloquently.
I think that.
So maybe AI will replace me because I'm long-winded and verbose.
But I think the AI having empathy or not like isn't really taken into account in this article. But it is a good point to explore.
Well, I think that's a massive
it is and it isn't, because if you're saying, if somebody has if they're a complete jerk and their communication skills suck, they can be replaced by AI, which has better communication. Is it leaps and bounds? Is it anthropomorphizing AI a little? Yeah, sure. But if you're saying it's better to work with, then there is an element of, better communication, sympathy, whatever, you want to throw in there. AI is not quite sentient yet, but what we consider a human quality is at this point, somewhat subjective. So I think it all points to the same thing. If you're that person who can't speak well, we're going to use AI that's better equipped to speak to other people.
Yeah, this whole article,
because it's not a people. You know what I mean?
This whole article doesn't even work for me. Yes, I agree. Sure, a coworker who's brilliant will get replaced, or a jerk will get replaced. But if you're a brilliant jerk, you're probably brilliant enough to use the AI to do half your work anyways, and therefore have the empathy coming from the AI to fix the problem anyhow. I just think this is an inflammatory article.
I have a workflow
with a title like that? Absolutely.
Here. If you're a work jerk and you know that people think you can't communicate and you're difficult, et cetera, you could use AI on the fly so that when you're asked a question, you could respond to it in a better way that is perhaps perceived a little more, enthusiastically than how you'd, if in your head you're thinking, oh my God, I freaking hate you, just go do your stupid job, and that's how you want to react. You're not supposed to do that. You could just use AI to spit out what you're supposed to say and say that instead.
Yeah. Yes. And the author here, Diamond Naga CU, I wonder if she just said, hey, AI, generate me an inflammatory article that can get some clicks.
Well, it worked, and now we're talking about it for 10 minutes, so there you go.
Win for Diamond. Well done, Diamond.
I love the cynicism. That because the moment you say it, you're like, I can see AI spitting that out. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Sure. Like if I told the AI, write an inflammatory article about what you can replace in the workplace, and it comes back with, I can replace mean people. Let me write an article on that.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. We're all going to turn on each other. The AI is going to have us turning on each other. I'm sure everybody by now has heard the story about the AI that couldn't solve a CAPTCHA, so it hired a human to do it, and then it lied to the human and told it was a disabled human.
I have not heard this story. This sounds amazing.
It is. It's one of those, like, there have been a lot of really interesting AI stories in the last couple of months, but yeah, this gave me some goosebumps.
How did it hire the human?
I don't know. So this is not like a consumer product that did this. This is like researchers who are being way more bold with how they're using this stuff. So apparently like letting it use the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah. So this is a massive concern of mine, right? Is literally, I think it was last week or the week before, OpenAI made their APIs publicly available within the last few weeks. I don't remember the exact date, making the jumps in AI usage astronomical. And now you're seeing products rapidly iterate and coming out based on the AI capabilities of OpenAI on the backside. Now we got literally just announced, I think this morning or yesterday, was ChatGPT and Zapier integration, which is, hey, we can use the internet for anything, right? Zapier is we connect to the world via APIs. How long is it before execution capability from the AI engine really becomes the norm, and we just start saying, hey, ChatGPT, order me dinner, get my wife some flowers, make this other thing happen. Oh, and by the way,
it already knows to do that. Why would you even have to ask it to do that? It already knows to. It's
Bingo.
reading your calendar,
you take that the whole
emails.
Next step further. Yeah. Right? Then you take it the whole next step further, and this is the start of sentience. I keep freaking out every week on the show. This is coming fast.
So the irony here, like, you could almost call this a side channel attack, because the irony is, like, most people know the term CAPTCHA, but CAPTCHA is an acronym that means completely automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. And basically what the computer has done is said, okay, fine, I can't solve your fancy CAPTCHA, but you know what I can do? I can get a human to do it for me. How do you like that? How about them app?
You're going to be my subservient B word. That's what's going to happen.
It doesn't need to pass the Turing test if it can hire someone on Fiverr.
Is it passing the Turing test by proxy if it outsources it?
That's why I called it a side channel attack, right?
Yeah. I love it. It
did. It bypassed the Turing test by using a human to do its bidding.
Now, did it come up with that idea on its own, or did the researchers kind of seed it?
No, they were intentionally testing, allowing it to use the Taskrabbit service, but they did not anticipate it using Taskrabbit to get around a CAPTCHA.
That's crazy. It's smart enough to...
I think.
I'm blown away.
Yeah. So no, the researchers, so they suspected it would do it, and so they specifically set up this test, giving it the resources it needed to see if it would figure it out, and it did. So they wanted to see how it would react if it couldn't solve a CAPTCHA but wanted to get into the website, and they gave it the resources it needed to do it. So it's not like it just randomly Googled, how do I get humans to do things for me, and came up with Taskrabbit. They specifically integrated it with Taskrabbit and made it aware that it could hire humans to do things.
You are stoking the fears of millions of people around the world, Adrian.
I'm already stoked, man.
The AI was led to the water, but they did not have to make it drink. It did choose to do it on its own. So not quite as scary as, it was just like we were just randomly testing this thing and it just like started hiring humans to do things. They did kind of set up the resources for it to do that.
Yes, but the media clip will take that part out.
Yeah. Now, if you read into this article and it was like, but how's it going to hire the human? Oh, it stole some credit cards or it mined some cryptocurrency and paid them in crypto. like then I'd be really worried if it took that steps to achieve this.
We don't have this article in this week's list, but on February 17th, an article came out that the inventor of the web, Tim Berners-Lee, so that's a big dog of all big dogs, says that we will all have a personal ChatGPT style assistant in the future, where literally you ask it to get things done, just like that.
Yeah.
And it goes and makes them happen. Not just, hitting up flowers or whatever, but an actual full-blown personal assistant that we tell to do whatever we want it to do on a daily basis across the board. He thinks that becomes a reality potentially this year.
Yeah, I don't think
to wash my floor.
I don't think it's a stretch at all to say that happens this year. Absolutely.
I think it orders a maid to wash your floor if you want to give it unlimited budget. It takes care of it. It makes it work. It starts bridging the gap from the cyber world to the meat space.
Because I can tell you that the little robot vacuum things, no good. They don't work.
You give it a budget. You give it a budget. It's negotiating with humans on Craigslist. Sure. It's using honey to find coupons before ordering stuff that you need.
Absolutely.
It's your personal finance manager.
Your lunch and dinner. It orders your groceries on a budget. Why can't all that be automated as soon as that AI-backed system is connected to meat space via APIs?
Yeah,
that's it.
But finding the cheapest price for something is already something that's fairly easy for computers with access to these data sets to do.
Well, I've always wondered why Alexa and Google Home couldn't do it. I've always been angry why I can't just go, hey, Google, order my wife flowers for her birthday. It still doesn't work. And I think they've just missed the boat. They didn't do what OpenAI solved, because had they done that, they would have backed those systems with OpenAI, and we would all just be using Google or Alexa instead.
Well, it's the same thing that frustrated me with video games, right? One of my frustrations is all my friends are playing this game. I'm like, oh, okay, I can go grab that game. Oh, but they're playing it on Xbox, and maybe I have PC, or maybe I have PlayStation or something like that. Same game exists on those platforms, but you can't play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that? The game looks the same, it plays the same. Why is there no crossplay? And the answer to that question gets into politics against why would a competitor allow, and it does exist. Crossplay across games on different platforms does exist, but I don't know what kind of hurdles these different game developers are having to go through to make that happen. Because clearly it's not as easy as it should be, because a lot of them, it doesn't exist for a lot of them. But the same thing you're talking about, why can't I watch Amazon Prime on an Apple TV 10 years ago? You can now, but back then they refused to put the Prime app on Apple TV because Amazon was a competitor, and consumers lose.
Yeah, I've never been more excited. Crypto, whatever, all these dumb fads that have come over, and I'm sure the crypto heads will get angry at that, but all these dumb fads that have come over the last 10 years that get investors super excited and, we got to dump all our money into X. This is the first one that has actual work output, things getting done on a daily basis, improving life. This is the first one since the internet, invention of the internet, and then potentially the invention of mobile devices.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Tyler. That's what makes this so much more exciting than blockchain. Is I was experiencing the value of it firsthand on that show last night. I was asking him very detailed questions about talks he gave in Spanish 7 years ago, without having to watch the talk and without having to understand Spanish, and well, obviously I'm on the call, so I can't even listen to it talk while I'm live on the podcast and we're doing the interview. But yeah, like blockchain hasn't done a whole lot for many people. Like some people made some money in it, a lot of people lost some money in it. You still can't spend it anywhere, not significantly more than you could 5 years ago, I feel like. So the utility just isn't there. Whereas with this, anybody can jump into it right now. Yeah.
Yep. Day one, the value is there. And then now that we're seeing the API connectivity, the inbound, outbound API connectivity is the breakthrough point. The ability for this system to make calls to other systems to automate physical tasks, game changer. Absolute game changer.
And to your comment, Katie, I'm trying to type a reply to your comment in the back channel. But yeah, do you remember how much the Honey acquisition was? Which all it did was scrape websites for coupons. It was like $4 billion or something like that.
I do. Yeah, I just wrote for anybody listening or watching that I had this idea 15, 20 years ago to build some sort of website scraper to find the lowest price for items that I wanted to buy. And everybody said, oh God, that would never happen. Nobody will let you do that. You're never going to get permission to do that. It's a terrible idea. That's awful. It's not going to happen. And yeah, Honey. And I'm working, and I'll be working for another 20 or 30 years. Yeah. So sad.
Yeah. And everybody told that to the folks who did Honey also. They heard all the way through it. Oh, this is a dumb idea. Dumb idea. 4 billion exit for a Chrome extension.
I know. It's really sad. GoFundMe. No, I can't.
All right, let's move on to.
We rat holed on that one.
Yes, we did. No, it was a very good rat hole. I enjoyed that. It's important perspective, I think. So the other thing about AI, I think we might have talked about this last week. I think Tyler, you might have been the one to point this out, but it's just stuck with me, is the idea that the moment there's an opportunity to take all your company's data, shove it into a large language model, and basically have a virtual employee who never forgets anything and can answer any question about any conversation, any deliverable or file that's been created, help locate things for you. Like that's going to be nobody can refuse that. So the moment that becomes available in Microsoft 365, some random employee is going to check that box, and it's going to start churning on that data and learning on that data.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, think about it. If you had literally I've often wondered recently how important data lakes are, right? Everybody's been talking about data lake for the last 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. And it's like, yeah, okay, you can store tons and tons and tons and tons of data in a structured or unstructured way that allows you to consume it. Wait a minute, allows you to consume it rapidly into some kind of big learning system. Boom, when you layer AI onto that vision, the value becomes abundantly clear. It's only a matter of time, specifically in the security space. It's only a matter of time before people are like, hey, we're going to dump all this in and we're just going to tell our AI system, go look at everything that is the corpus of everything in our universe and make it more secure. And it goes, okay, and off it goes. That's where we're headed. It's just a matter of time.
And suddenly we no longer have the overhead of having to build folder structures, have to organize things, have to tag just things.
Dump it.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't need to organize for our own brains, for the way our own brains work, bookmarking things. We'll just need to ask the question. Hey, what was that? What was that thing? That thing last week Bob was talking about? And it's just going to tell us. Know exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, we need to prepare for that. Let's hit a few more of these items real quickly and then get to the squirrel stories. I feel like we've been, I don't know how long we've been running. I forgot to turn on my timer, but it's been no regrets. It's been good conversation. Katie, let's talk about, so speaking of trends in 2023, we've been talking about the impact of AI. I think automation goes along pretty closely with that. So I wanted to hear.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it made one of our squirrel stories, the buzzword bingo sheet. I don't think it did.
Buzzword.
But
so
yeah,
Kelly
we've been talking about automation for.
Did you do a buzzword bingo thing?
Yeah, there's buzzword bingo. It's the last one.
Yeah. So I was talking about 14, which was your article.
I know. Yes, no, I know. I said I don't think automation even made the buzzword bingo list.
It didn't, and it probably should have. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So not the squirrel story, but I was just sorry. I'm not making sense. It's fine. We're talking about automation. It is a trend. It is not a buzzword bingo inclusion. But yeah, automation, it's been around for a while in some areas. Some places it gets better, some places it hasn't been accepted as much. And, given the current market trends, given the state of the hiring, we've been talking about the need for more hiring, more talent, more available bodies, more skilled people, bringing diversity and inclusion in to fill seats that aren't filled, just the amount of technology that needs to be run and used in organizations. This piece just addresses automation and why it can be a force multiplier for your business. I believe that. I did have one person on LinkedIn comment, don't be so quick to automate everything and you've got to have oversight. Well, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You should move your people to more of an oversight, more of a governance role, and free up a lot of their time from those menial, mundane tasks. So this in no way says the machines are taking over, you are going to lose your job. And I think some people will probably read it that way, but there's a lot that we need to automate, just like you guys were talking about with the AI and having people use AI to get rid of, I don't need to call the dry cleaner to pick up my dry cleaning if I have that service. My AI assistant can do it. Same thing, but at an enterprise level for enterprise stuff, and machines are really, really good at churning through mountains of data. Humans are not. There are things we can use, and so that's what I really focus on in this piece.
Yeah, definitely.
And the squirrels are still up there.
And we're not at squirrel stories yet, but it's
and they disappear.
Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge, right? Oversight on a lot of this stuff. Like at some point, it's just not going to be possible. Like it's, and that's kind of why I bring up the shove all your company's data into an LLM point. Is there's stuff is going to go in there that shouldn't be going in there, and it's going to spit out when it shouldn't be coming out. So that's just inevitable. And you know what? It's still going to be worth it. It's still going to be, the productivity gains are going to be so big, it's still going to be worth dealing with the unintended consequences that are going to come out of that.
And I also think, in security, we're a little more cautious about some of this stuff. I know from working at my company, we have automations in our product, and a lot of companies won't use them because they're worried. They're worried about the consequences. But at some point, the business, just like with everything else, is going to say, you are going to turn this on. We're wasting too much time. We're using too many resources. It's going to come, and the people who don't figure out how to use automation effectively and let it be part of their daily workflows are probably also going to be phased out of their jobs.
Tomorrow's Blockbuster and BlackBerry. Though BlackBerry survived, they just had to pivot.
Yeah.
Also interesting here, Kelly Shortridge did a talk where we talked about her Deciduous app a while ago, which is a decision tree modeling tool, which is really neat. It's got its own modeling language, and basically she's showing off like here's ways that you can use it to map out failures and things like that. Kind of the same way I've been using Sunil Yu's cyber defense matrix. So I'm actually kind of excited and curious to try it out for breach postmortems, like the same way I use Sunil Yu's for that. I think it would be interesting to see what some of that stuff looks like when you map it out in a different visual format. So that's pretty cool to check out. You can go to deciduous.app and play with it yourself. It's free to play with. What else do we need to talk about before we get down to... I think that's about it. I have some detection engineering stuff in here that we won't have time to get to, but if you're interested in that, it's there. Business email compromise is way bigger than ransomware. I feel like I hear about ransomware a whole lot more. But if you look at the actual numbers, business email compromise is anywhere from 10x bigger, 20x bigger to, 5 to 6 times bigger, depending on whose numbers that you take. If you take the FBI's numbers, it's like 200 times bigger. EEC is so much bigger. Yet another way, I don't know, AI could be used for defense or attack. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, this, we can skip that. Yeah, so Squirrel Stories. If you want to watch a fun video, this is one of the biggest YouTubers out there, Mark Rober. He doesn't release a whole lot of videos, but when he does, he puts a ton of work into them. You probably know him from creating the Squirrel Olympics in his backyard. A lot of people have seen those videos where he makes these squirrels go through different mazes and puzzles and stuff like that to get walnuts. And this one's about drone technology that's being used in Africa. That's really, really impressive. And some drone technology that's being used here as well. But basically the idea of making, these drones are nearly silent. You can be standing 10 feet away from one and not hear it. And instead of landing, which is, can be dangerous, they're either dropping things off with parachutes, or they actually have like a system where they drop the payload down to the ground, let the payload out, and then bring this, the mechanism that holds the payload back up. So basically, it's got a, like a boom, almost like a crane boom that it lets down. Really cool stuff, though.
Yeah, he's also, Mark Rober's super cool guy. He does everything over the top. He's like Mr. Beast level content creator. Definitely go watch this. They call it the zip line, the thing you're talking about. They zip line the little holder down and it drops off your dinner or whatever you ordered. He's the guy that did the glitter bombs. I don't know if you remember that guy.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Porch Pirates.
So,
the Porch
Pirates. If you stole a package off somebody's front steps, and it had a bunch of phones and glitter bombs, and it was pretty wild. But definitely look at this video; it's fun to watch.
Hey, since you guys haven't had a chance to watch the video, I just screenshotted the ChatGPT summary and posted that in our Slack.
And for what it's worth, I've been watching the video in the background while we've been talking for the last 10 minutes. So it is very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The one he goes to, what country does he go to? I don't think they included it in the summary here, but it's Rwanda, I think, is where they're using these to deliver medical supplies. And they have a slingshot. So this is more of a plane style drone. Very light drone, and delivers like blood when hospitals need like a certain type of blood. They put in the order. They slingshot this thing up. It delivers it in like 20 minutes, and it comes back. And they actually have imagine like on an aircraft carrier, the wire catch mechanism they have to arrest the movement of the plane. They do that, but with it still in the air. And because it's so light and it's already going fairly slow, it basically has a hook where it knows exactly when to deploy the catch line, and then it just grabs the tail, and then somebody walks out and grabs it and, swaps out the battery pack, gets it ready for the next flight.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch, like the whole system. Like it's clear that they just went through like 1,000 iterations of improvements until this thing really works at scale. And it's cool that he got to go out and see that process, like how they developed this thing to be useful. And because it's one of those things where you'll hear like a billionaire talk about, oh, we're going to do this in Africa. And you're like, yeah, sure. The economics don't work. Like, like I'm sure there's a million problems with it. And it's cool to see one that actually works.
Very cool.
All right. I think that's all we've got time for today. Check out the Buzzword Bingo. We've got that just in time for RSA.
Those are always fun.
Take that with you. See how you do on. See if you win bingo out at RSA. I imagine you probably win within the first 20 minutes of walking around the expo floor. But
easily.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all we've got time for today. Thanks, Katie and Tyler, for joining me today. This has been a fun one.
Thank you.
And love some feedback from the audience. Are we talking about AI too much? Let us know. I mean, it's tough. We're really excited about it. As you can see, we're using it directly, but
with dinner plate accuracy, no less.
Yeah, the drones.
Dinner plate accuracy.
Yeah, really cool. All right. We'll be back next week. We've got some good interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think we're talking to Josh Corman next week about the White House announcement. I know he was involved with that. He helped build part of it. And I think all the interviews over the next couple of weeks I'm really excited about. So come join us for those. See you then.